Okay, in this video, let's talk about section 7.8. Phase shift. We're not going to talk about some curve fitting. It's too difficult now. Okay, let's just talk about the phase shift. We're talking about this type of function. Y is equal to a times sine of omega x minus phi and plus b. Because sine is an odd function, when you have a negative sign, if omega is a negative or w is negative, you can just factor out the negative sign. So we always assume in this discussion, we always assume that the w is positive. A can be positive and negative, but w we always assume it to be positive. And we already had some concept. Remember that the A, opposite value of A is called the amplitude. Amplitude. And T is 2 pi over W is called the period. Is called the period. Okay. And then we have additional phi. What is the meaning of additional phi? Remember, whenever we handle those handle x, we have to directly apply to x. And this part, phi is not directly add or subtract to x. It is add or subtract from the wx. So we have to factor out w. We get x minus phi minus x minus phi over w. Okay, so this quantity phi over w is called the phase shift. Phase shift. Okay. And remember, we always assume w positive. So when phi is positive, the ratio is positive, you shift the graph is shifted to the right phi over w units. When phi is negative, phi over w is negative, the graph is shifted to the left, absolute value of phi over w units. We already mentioned the direction, so we will always use a not positive number. Okay, so this is the third concept from this sine function or cosine function. So we have one name called phase shift, we have a name called period, and we have a name called amplitude. Okay, so check here, amplitude a opposite value of a, period 2 pi over w, and the phase shift phi over w. There are three quantities for us to graph the sine or cosine function. And in those three functions, this is a positive number. This is a positive number. This one can be positive, can be negative. Positive, you shift to the right. Negative, you shift to the left. Okay? And one period or one cycle is from phi over w to phi over w plus 2 pi over w. Okay, keep this in mind. We will see how we get this those numbers. We will see it later. Okay, so b in this graph, in this function, b has no name. B is just the vertical shift. It has no name. Okay, let's use exercise to understand the process. Example, find the amplitude period and the phase shift of y equal to 3 sine 2x minus pi, and graph the function. Graph the function. Okay, so those concepts are fixed and simple, so you just follow the formula. Okay, so the amplitude is ops value of the coefficient, so it's a 3. The period is 2 pi over w. W is 2, so it's a 2 pi over 2 is pi. And the phase shift is, you see here, it is always subtraction with a phi. So here phi is a pi. So it's a phi over w, which is a pi over 2. So pi over 2. So you have those three quantities. Okay, you have those three quantities. Now we are going to graph the function. For the sine and cosine, we have that 5 key point, the key point method to graph it. That's an essential method and a very effective method. We are going to choose 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. Remember, those are the input for the for the 5 key point. What are the key point? You are going to do the following thing. You are going to let 2x minus pi equal to 0. 2x minus pi equal to 0. When this input is 0, y is equal to 0. First, you see, it's a 3 times sine of 0 is 0. But from here you get x is equal to pi over 2. X is equal to pi over 2. And this pi over 2 is exactly this phi over w. You see, it's a starting point. So here we get 1 point, pi over 2 and 0. And second, you let 2x minus pi equal to pi over 2. When 2x minus pi is pi over 2, sine pi over 2 is 1. So y is 3 times 1. Y is a 3. And from here you get x. You see pi move to the right side. It's a 3 pi over 2. Over 2 is a 3 pi over 4. So we get our second point. 3 pi over 4 and 3. And then we let 2x minus pi equal to pi. And the sine pi is 0, so y is equal to 0. 3 times sine pi is a 3 times 0, 0. And x is what? We move this pi to the right side, it's 2 pi. Over 2 is pi. So it's a pi 0. And then 2x minus pi is a 3 pi over 2. And y is equal to negative 3. Sine 3 pi over 2 is negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. And here it becomes 5 pi over 4. X, you solve for x, you get 5 pi over 4. So 5 pi comma negative 3. And last, 2x minus pi is equal to 2 pi. Y is equal to 0 again. Sine 2 pi. You see, this 2 pi is this value of the combination, so its input. Sine 2 pi is 0. So y is 3 times 0, 0. And here x is 3 pi over 2. Okay. So we got a 3 pi over 2 and 0. And this 3 pi over 2, this is a phi over w. This one is exactly phi over w plus 2 pi over w. You check here. 2 pi over w is pi. Phi over w is pi over 2. The sum is 3 pi over 2. So this is exactly one cycle. But actually, you can determine those two values from this 5 key point method. Okay, so after we got these 5 key points, let's try to sketch them. Let's check. We need pi over 2, 3 pi over 4, pi. So let's get pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. It's a pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, 2 pi. And 3 pi over 4, this is a 3 pi over 4. 3 pi over 4. 5 pi over 4, this is a 5 pi over 4. Am I right? Yes. Okay. So at pi over 2, y is 0, is this point. At 3 pi over 4, y is a 3, very tall here. Let's assume this value is 3. At pi is 0. 5 pi over 4 is negative 3. So negative 3, this place. And 3 pi over 2 is 0 again. So you see? You see this pattern? It looks like this. Just connect those five special key points. And then you just use smooth curve to connect those 5 points. This is one period. Okay, to sketch sine and cosine function, let's just use one period. If you want, you can just repeat it. You repeat it, it will be, see, if you repeat it, it will be like this. Right? So that's a 5 key point method to sketch the graph of sine. Cosine is the same thing because the sine and cosine, they share the almost identical graphs. Right? So the amplitude, period, phase shift. Well, what is a phase shift? You can see that originally we actually start from this point. This looks like the starting point when x is when the input is 0. And in some other science study, the x, the input for the sine and the cosine, they are called the phase. And then you shift this initial point, so you shift the phase. So that's why it's called a phase shift. Okay? It looks like you start from pi over 2 and you stop at 3 pi over 2. Right? Remember that when we only had this part of the graph. So the phase shift is the starting point of one cycle. And plus the period, this interval is exactly one cycle, right? The starting point with one period step, so that's a one cycle. Okay? Now let's graph another one. Find the amplitude period and the phase shift of y equal to 2 cosine 4x plus 3 pi plus 1, and graph the function. Graph the function. Okay. Now let's look for those quantities. The amplitude is 2. So the upper value of the coefficient, you get a 2. Period. 2 pi over w, pi over 2. And phase shift. Phase shift, you have to be careful. In the formula, it's a minus phi. So it's plus 3 pi, it means minus negative 3 pi. Phi over w, it's negative 3 pi over 4. Okay, so this is the tricky point. Just be careful about the phi. Phi is always minus phi. If you get plus 3 pi, you have to write it as a minus negative 3 pi. So this is a negative. This negative 3 pi is a phi. Okay, so we get the amplitude, period, and the phase shift. Now let's try to use 5 key points to graph the function 2 cosine 4x. We use 5 key points to graph 2 cosine 4x plus 3 pi. Once we get this graph, we lift it 1 unit. Plus 1 means we're going to shift it vertically up 1 unit. But this is an essential graph. Okay, now let's try to graph. In order to have 5 key points, remember we have those 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. They are the target values. They are not the values of x. We have to find the corresponding x for each target. So we choose 4x plus 3 pi equal to 0. 4x plus 3 pi equal to 0. Then what we get? We get x is negative 3 pi over 4. And in the corresponding moment, when the input is 0, 4x plus 3 pi is 0, cosine 0 is 1, y is equal to 2. So you get a negative 3 pi over 4, comma 2. This is a 1 point, the first key point on the graph. And then we choose 4x plus 3 pi equal to pi over 2. We solve for x, we get x is equal to negative what's this? This is a subtraction with 3 pi. It's a negative 5 pi over 2. So it's negative 5 pi over 8. And in this moment, y is 0. So negative 5 pi over 8, comma 0. When this input is 2 pi over 2, cosine pi over 2 is 0, times 2 is still 0. That this y is not the original y, it's just the value. Okay, the value of this function. And we continue. We let 4x plus 3 pi equal to pi. Then x is equal to negative pi over 2. Negative pi over 2. And in this case, y cosine pi is negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. And we continue. 4x plus 3 pi is equal to 3 pi over 2, this one. Now x is negative 3 pi over 8. You just solve the linear equation, you get x. And y, cosine 3 pi over 2 is 0, times 2 is 0. And the last one, x is negative pi over 4. And y is positive 2 again. Okay? Cosine pi over 2 is 1 times 2 is 2. So we have here we have a negative 3 pi over 8, 0. Here is a negative pi over 4 and 2. Okay, so this is the 5 key points. Those are the 5 key points. We're going to label those 5 key points and sketch the graph. Okay, so they are all on the left side of 0. So let's just sketch the left side. Let's make it a little big. It's a negative pi over 2. It's a negative pi over 4. Negative 3 pi over 2 is here. 3 pi over 8 is here. Negative 5 pi over. This is negative 5 pi over 8. And negative 3 pi over 4. Okay, they're very small. And 5 input. Negative 3 pi over 4, negative 5 pi over 8, negative pi over 2, negative 3 pi over 8, negative pi over 4. And you will have 2, assume this is value 2, whatever. You have 2, you have a 0, you have a negative 2, you have a 0, you have 2. So you get something like this. So you sketch it and use a smooth graph to connect them. So this is a one period. If you want to repeat, you have other period. Okay? So after we get this period, this is a graph 2 cosine 4x plus 3 pi. You're going to lift it 1 unit up. Let's see. This is what this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is negative pi over 4. Negative pi over 8. Negative 3 pi over 8. Negative pi over 2, negative 5 pi over 8, negative 3 pi over 4, negative pi. Okay, negative pi. 7 pi over 8, negative 7 pi over 8. And this is negative pi. So we have to divide it into 8 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, this is the right one. And now let's try to sketch it. Here's negative 2. Here's positive 2. You shift it 1 unit up. So you get negative 1, 1, 2, 3, and a positive 3. Negative 1, positive 3. When you get a 2 at 3 pi over 4, it's lifted up, it's a 3. At negative 5 pi over 8, it's 0. It's lifted up, it's a 1. Negative 2 is lifted to be 2. Negative 1. 0 is 1, becomes 1. 2 becomes 3. Okay, and if you continue, it will be like this. If you continue this part, no, this way. Oops, sorry. Yeah, stop here. This is better. Okay, so it's the graph of 2 cosine of 4x plus 3 pi and plus 1. Okay, plus 1 you shifted 1 up unit. And we're actually we're interested in one period, and the rest of the period you just sketch it. Copy the graph. Okay. So that is the section 7.8. In the section 7.8, we introduce one more concept called phase shift. Phase shift technically just means the first point you sketch, one corresponding to the x equal to 0. You see here, when you get x equal to not x equal to 0, the input equal to 0, you get the corresponding value for x. That is called the phase shift. It's an initial starting point. Like for example, this one. This is the starting point. You start from this point. Okay, it's a starting point. The phase negative 3 pi over 4. And the computation is not difficult. The 5 key point is not the new technique, but when you try to determine the phase shift, you have to be very, very, very careful. Remember that it's always a sine or cosine wx minus phi. It's always subtraction. If you, for example, if you here get plus 3 pi, you should realize that phi is negative 3 pi and the phase shift is negative 3 pi over 4. Negative 3 pi over 4, we shift it to the left. Okay, so this is a very important. Except that the concepts are all the concepts were already discussed in the previous sections. Okay, so in this section, they also provide some word problems. Those word problems highly depend on the graphs and the calculators and stuff. And this is a very it's not that theoretically important, but so we are going to skip the second half to build the sinusoidal models from the data. Okay, so that part, if you are interested, you can read it. There's some interesting thing, but we will skip that section. We will skip that part. Okay, so do your exercise. If your exercise are related to build the sine or cosine function, you can just skip it. Okay, and send me email if you have questions. Okay, we stop this section here. Thank you.